What's good, family? It's your boy ZTR back at it with another video, and this is my thoughts after everything Keyshawn Johnson has said just recently in a statement. Okay, because for what's going on right now with Jon Gruden, he's officially resigned from the Las Vegas Raiders. He is no longer their head coach, and there were some things that he said about Roger Goodell in an email. Okay, that offended the LGBTQ. I believe he called Roger Goodell a faggot or something of that line. Okay, and I guess there was an email they pulled up that something he said against Roger Goodell that offended Roger and offended the LGBTQ. Okay, but Keyshawn Johnson took it upon himself to come out with a statement and say all these things about Jon Gruden. They call him a fraud. He said he was a fraud from day one. And he comes at you like a car salesman, something along those lines. Right, but let me take everybody all the way back, because people need to go from the very beginning, okay? And people need to see these two paths. Now, as you can see right here, okay, these two are Super Bowl champions. Both Jon Gruden and Keyshawn Johnson both won a Super Bowl together for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yes, young folks, Tom Brady is not the first one to win the Buccaneers a Super Bowl, okay? What Bruce Arians did last year, he's not the first coach to win the Buccaneers a championship. No, the first coach to do this was Jon Gruden. Okay, this was back around the 2002-2003 NFL season. Okay, Jon Gruden left the Raiders for whichever reasons. It's almost like the same reasons Jimmy Johnson left Jerry Jones. So him and Al Davis gets into a disagreement, and he left the Raiders, a team he built up that was actually a championship contender. Leaves him, and I guess the Buccaneers go and they sign him. They fired Tony Dungy for Jon Gruden. All right. Then when the Buccaneers had Tony Dungy, they were struggling. Keyshawn Johnson was struggling as a receiver. This is the same Jon Gruden that came onto that organization, right? And this man turned that offense around and made him effective. This is the same Gruden, okay? Back in the 2002-2003 season, in that offseason. The man built the offense around Keyshawn and had Keyshawn looking very effective. All right. This is a team that was finally able to beat the New York Giants and then beat the Philadelphia Eagles. Beating teams like the Atlanta Falcons with young Michael Vick over there. Okay. This is a team that finally broke through in the playoffs. And they finally reached a Super Bowl and they beat the Raiders. Now the ones who should be calling Jon Gruden a fraud or a fake, using the same words he's saying about Jon Gruden, is the Al Davis Oakland Raiders that Jon Gruden coached back in the day. From his first head coaching job in the NFL. That means Tim Brown, Jerry Rice, Rich Gannon, Charlie Gardner, and even Charles Woodson. Okay, those are the guys who should have something negative to say about Jon. Yeah, Mark, the son of Al, should have something negative to say about Jon. But not Keyshawn. I don't expect this from Keyshawn Johnson at all. Okay? Because Jon Gruden has never, and let the record show that Jon Gruden has never said anything against Keyshawn at all. Jon has been nothing but respectful to Keyshawn. Jon has never called Keyshawn out of his name. He's never had any beef with Keyshawn Johnson, as you can see here. This is Keyshawn literally having Jon Gruden meet his son. Jon Gruden's holding this man's son. They happy. They won a championship together. Okay? Now, in the last 20 years, Keyshawn Johnson has never had anything negative to say about Jon Gruden at all. Okay? Nothing. Keyshawn Johnson, if I'm not mistaken, is a Hall of Famer. Nothing negative to say about Jon. He didn't speak out against Jon when he first got his analyst job. When he got hired by ESPN. You had nothing negative to say about Jon when Jon first took the Raiders coaching job back in, 2017-2018 season. Yeah, I think, Jon took over. Yeah, he took over. He got hired. I guess he took the coaching job around 2018. Yeah, Jack Del Rio was fired, and then Jon Gruden, they rehired him. Mark chose to hire Jon back. So Mark obviously ain't got nothing against Jon anyway. So I'm gonna explain where all this is coming from, and it's very, very obvious. Okay. We live in a day and age now where the LGBTQ has complete control over the media. If anyone, and I mean anyone, it don't matter if you're on Instagram, Facebook, right? It don't matter if you a boss, you're a supervisor at your job. Anybody who speaks out against, who calls somebody a homophobe or a faggot, if you call somebody, if you talk against somebody that, if you call somebody a faggot, you call them gay, and they feel offended, the LGBTQ go and use cancel culture to get rid of you. Okay? Like I said earlier, there was an email that came out where John says something very offensive, or says something very bad about Roger Goodell. Roger Goodell took offense to it, and I guess John feels guilty about it, and he's resigning. Now I'm gonna tell you the real reason why the Raiders are. I'm gonna tell you the real reason why he resigned is this has really nothing. This is more than just Roger Goodell. But let me just finish on Keyshawn Johnson before I continue. Yeah, Keyshawn Johnson don't really got beef with this guy. Okay, John has no beef with Keyshawn. John don't hate this guy at all. I'm gonna tell you the real reason why Keyshawn is saying all this, and it's very, very obvious. Okay, because I find it hard to believe that all this time, all these years, you've been knowing John Gruden. You ain't had nothing negative to say about it. You didn't call him a fraud then. He was a fraud when he came. When he replaced Tony Dungy while you were still there. Now remember, this is the Keyshawn Johnson who left the Jets and chose to play with the Buccaneers. He got recruited by Warren Sapp. He was still in a contract. If Keyshawn Johnson really hated John Gruden back in the day, he would have asked for a trade. Okay, he wouldn't want to play around him. But Keyshawn Johnson was desperate to win. That man was trying to win by any means. Even after he left the Buccaneers and went to the Cowboys, for example, right, with Bill Parcells. Nothing negative to say about John then. You didn't hear Keyshawn Johnson calling John Gruden fake from day one when he was a Cowboy. You didn't hear Keyshawn Johnson talking about John Gruden when he was a Carolina Panther. All this time, all these years. Even when John Gruden retired from the Buccaneers, he said nothing. And both of these two, matter of fact, are Hall of Famers. John's a Hall of Famer as a coach and Keyshawn Johnson as a receiver. Okay? But I do remember it was John Gruden who helped Keyshawn Johnson get to where he was today. Again, John Gruden took his time with Keyshawn and wrote down a playbook that was effective for Keyshawn, you know what I'm saying, to be successful and become the champion he is. Keyshawn Johnson has a ring because of John Gruden. And even Warren Sapp, I tell you, if you go look back at the story of the 2002 Buccaneers, their documentary, Warren Sapp said it. John Gruden was more effective than Tony Dungy as far as offense. Tony Dungy let the offense lack. Tony Dungy didn't stay on the offense like he did the defense. Tony Dungy was too one-sided. And them firing Tony Dungy is what helped Tony Dungy because Tony Dungy went to Indianapolis and improved. Tony Dungy didn't make the same mistake with Peyton Manning like he did Brady Johnson. Right? He didn't make the same mistake with Musha Muhammad. Excuse me, not Musha Muhammad. I meant Marvin Harrison. Excuse me. Because I know Keyshawn Johnson played with Musha, but I meant Marvin Harrison. Yeah, when Tony Dungy went to Indianapolis, he started coaching Peyton Manning. He started coaching Marvin Harrison. He treated Marvin Harrison a lot differently than he treated Keyshawn. Like Tony Dungy, that helped Tony Dungy in a way. And even Tony Dungy is not, he don't have nothing negative to say about the Buccaneers or John Gruden himself. They thought John Gruden was just a better man for the job. So you don't see Tony Dungy say nothing because Tony Dungy got his ring somewhere else. And again, notice how it's crazy, man. But I'm gonna tell you right. Matter of fact, let's just look into it now. I want y'all to check this out. I'm gonna let y'all see the whole recording. I'm gonna let you see this. Okay. Again, shouts out the first take. Okay, again, man, I understand Max Kellerman. Shouts out to Max Kellerman, by the way. Max Kellerman did this show good. All right. You know, to the analysts that still on first take, I commend you for keeping up with the fight, but they have not been doing that well at all.
Buccaneers to make another playoff run, and I decided to stay at ESPN instead. But I also understood who he was. Am I surprised that this sort of behavior would come out about Coach Gruden? I'm not surprised that he would talk about people in despairing views behind their backs. Not at all. Am I surprised that he used racial insensitive things? Am I surprised that he was acting homophobic situations, talking about the LGBT community? Am I surprised that he went after the vice president, went after the commissioner? No, I'm not surprised. But what I'm surprised about is some of the words that he used, because I never saw that side of him, Molly. Yeah.
No, he said he never saw that side of him. Meaning John Gruden has never done anything wrong or negative to this man here. Ever. Okay? John Gruden has never done that to anybody else. Okay, so you gotta know how to read somebody. Alright? Again, I'm getting to my point. Because again, this is obvious what's actually going on. It seems like Keyshawn here started unnecessary drama for a certain purpose. No, he said he never saw that side of him. But let's continue.
I can't sit here and tell you that he called somebody out their name, or I never saw that. But as far as
like, to your face, it was always positive.
It was a positive thing because I kept it positive, but I also saw through the stuff that he was putting out there, and it's always been that way. It's fun.
Again,
funny story.
Keyshawn, you have never ever in the last 20 something years, you never had anything negative to say about John that whole time. Okay? All that time John Gruden was on ESPN. You never see Keyshawn go on somebody else's podcast or talk about this dude at all like he's doing now. Okay? Again, you gotta know when somebody's being fake. Because for John Gruden here to have helped your career, right? When you was on the Jets, they went nowhere. Your career was going downhill. And for John to go home on the Buccaneers and help y'all finally get past Philadelphia, right? They beat Donovan McNabb's and Andy Reid's Philadelphia Eagles. For you to finally be the champion you are, I would think you would have this man's back. You talking as if this man was just an enemy from day one. That's not even the case. No, John has nothing against Keyshawn at all. Nothing. No, John doesn't hate Keyshawn at all. He's had nothing but the most respect for Keyshawn. John has treated Keyshawn equally as everybody else he's actually ever coached. Okay, but let's just continue because this Keyshawn's looking real fake.
You'll laugh at this though too, Stephen A. Prior to him taking, this is why I say a fraud and phony. Prior to him taking a job with ESPN, it was prior to taking the job with the Raiders, he was at ESPN. It was widely reported he's going to ESPN 3 weeks before. Going to the Raiders. Going to the Raiders. Sorry, going to the Raiders. John Gruden called me. I'm talking to John. Normal. We had an hour conversation about.
Okay, so why would y'all be having? If you didn't like this dude, this dude's really fraud. Why would you be having an hour-long conversation with the man? You know, that's something I'm still trying to figure out. If you really had this disdain for John Gruden, you and his relationship wasn't that good, then don't that mean you wouldn't be answering this guy's phone call? Wouldn't that let you know that John would never be calling you? Why would John confide in you? Why would John call you? Unless you wanted John to call you. Unless you and John have been keeping up conversations that whole time. Y'all been talking on the phone. You've been having conversations with him. Again, Keyshawn here, man, it's confusing. Again, it sounds like you not being real on camera, brother. You said an hour-long conversation. Now, if you hate somebody, right, you don't like a certain individual, you're not going to be on the phone with them for very long. You're going to keep it very short. Or you're not going to call them at all. That means when John came on the caller deal, he asked you on the phone, if you really hate the dude, you would have cussed him out, you would have hung up on his face, you would have did something to insult him. Let's just keep it honest. But for an hour-long conversation, like that sounds like you got a relationship with this guy. Like you and him are actually real cool outside the cameras.
About building the staff and about the players and the defense on the team. Why? But he wanted to know about a guy that I knew that he wanted to bring on his staff. But I knew that was all phony. I'm like, why are you calling me about a team? And he says, well, if I take the job, I don't think I'm going to take the job. You already done agreed to take the damn job. But that's who he is. And you have to know that and take it with face value.
Yet, when John Gruden took the head coaching job at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you had nothing negative to say at all. Nothing. Okay? Now, there are people who felt some type of way about Tony Dungy getting fired by the Buccaneers. I'm going to tell you that now. You know, one of my uncles was one of them. Rest in peace. God rest his soul. He passed away. But one of them didn't like John Gruden because he felt he didn't like John Gruden for the simple fact he took over a black man's job. But I'll try to explain to him, Tony Dungy wasn't that effective. Tony Dungy wasn't tripping. He won his ring with the Indianapolis Colts. That offense was not moving that well with Tony Dungy there. And let me say this too, man, because this is crazy, right? Now you look at some of his other ex-teammates who are also analysts. Look at Rondé Barber. You look at Warren Sapp, and you also look at Booker McFarland. None of them have had nothing negative to say about John this entire time. You don't see Brad Johnson or Brady Johnson, whatever you want to call him, the quarterback, his quarterback at the time, they were there. You don't see Brady Johnson speaking out against John, calling him a fraud. You don't see John Lynch, who is the current GM of the San Francisco 49ers. He has had nothing negative to say about John. And neither has Michael Pittman, the running back from over there. Right? Simeon Rice, Derek Brooks. None of those is ex-Tampa Bay Buccaneer players, right? That was all on that Super Bowl team with John. And we even guys like Cadillac Williams. Okay? Receiver Brian Kelly. Them cats, right? They had nothing negative to say about John Gruden at all. Near one of them. So, again, Keyshawn, why are you saying all this unless you trying to start, you capping for views. You capping for, you doing this for a reason. For honest, you starting unnecessary drama for a reason. Because you're trying to get attention. You're trying to get views. You're trying to get some money. Or is the fact that Roger Goodell or LGBT either they got a battery in your back or C.A. Smith told you to do this. Okay? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Now I figured it out, right? Again, he making it very obvious. I believe Stephen A. Smith has something to do with this. I'm dead serious. Because Stephen A. Smith's show has been going downhill ever since he fired Max Kellerman.
And deal with it that way. Now, as far as all the emails go, in the insensitive language in those emails, he's dead wrong. And what happened to him yesterday should have happened. And you and I had a sidebar conversation. And you told me, Stephen A., you said, no, you're wrong, Keyshawn.
Right.
You told me that. I said, no,
over that one email.
Over that one email, I said, no, man, there's going to be more that's going to come.
Right.
And
because that's an email. The email Stephen A. Smith talking about is an old email. Okay? This email John said about Roger Goodell years ago. Okay? For that reason. Because, again, Roger Goodell has rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. A lot of players and coaches the wrong way with how he's ran the NFL. Okay? So there's a lot of things that Roger Goodell has done over the last 15, 20 years that a lot of people don't agree with. So that's what that email is about. So Stephen Smith is alluding to an older email. But I guess there's more emails of John having something negative to say about Roger, and then that's on John. But again, man, like, it seems to me like Keyshawn is really desperate for views. He's desperate for attention.
It's going to be more that's going to come. Right. If they got 650,000 emails reported, you mean to tell me only one email? No. They had a whole 7-year span.
Do you think he can never come back from this, similar to the sentiment Stephen A. said earlier?
Oh, he'll never coach again.
No.
Not in the National Football League.
Never.
Now, if you ask me if some college to some certain region or something like that because they feel that certain way, they might in college, but in the pros, no, because it's very difficult to look us in the eyes and say to us, we need to play for you, and you need to be our leader.
Right.
That
couple of things. Couple of things. First of all, let me get some names out here because I'm reading from the article of the New York Times here. Ed Droste, Droste. I don't know if that's the correct pronunciation. The co-founder of Hooters.
Yeah, co-founder of Hooters.
Jim McVeigh, an executive who has run the Outback Bowl, annually held in Tampa, Florida, where John Gruden lives.
I believe that's the uncle of Sean McVeigh.
Okay. Nick Reeder, the founder of PDQ Restaurant, a Tampa-based fried chicken franchise. These are the people that were in the email chain with Bruce Allen and John Gruden. So the reason I bring that up is because this. Listen, Keyshawn and I go back years. Molly, love you dearly. We've been working together for years and stuff like that. You don't share emails back and forth with people spanning 7 years.
No, you don't.
Where you say stuff like that. Unless you're comfortable.
Now, back 7, 8 years ago, no one said the LGBTQ wasn't as big as they are now. There was none of this cancel culture 8 years ago. Okay, so that's why they felt so comfortably to talk about, to have those type of conversations regarding somebody they didn't like, because if you call somebody a faggot, nobody really took that seriously, like they're doing now. Okay, 8 years ago, Instagram and Facebook, they didn't have what's called a jail where they could basically suspend your account for however long until they bring you back on there. There was none of that going on. The Me Too movement was around 8 years ago. Okay, so people gotta understand this, and like it's sensitive now, but you going back to what was said 7 years ago, man. They should let that go. They only pulling it up now because again, there's a reason behind everything, right? There's a reason for all this. But these two are obviously bringing all this stuff up. Let me just keep it 100, right? Let me just keep it G. First take since Max Kellerman left, they've been losing a lot of ratings. Okay? They've been losing a lot of views. There's been people wanting Stephen A. Smith fired. Okay? Stephen A. Smith has basically pissed off a lot of people. Okay? When they found out that Stephen A. Smith never wanted Max Kellerman in the first place. So I guess Keyshawn here is who Stephen A. Smith wanted. But again, Keyshawn is saying all this to get attention. He's capping for views. They're desperate for attention, so they're doing all this drama. Why? Because they're losing ratings. They're losing views. Okay? They can't compete with Shannon Sharp and Skip Bayless at Undisputed. So this is what's really happening. All right? This is why Keyshawn Judge said everything he says. Because if you on the phone with this guy for a whole hour, okay, y'all been talking about other things other than football. That means y'all got an actual relationship outside the cameras. John and Keyshawn are most likely cool. In my opinion, I believe these guys are cool. They got nothing wrong against each other. Keyshawn just say all this so he can get attention. He wants you to pay attention to the show. He wants you to tune in the first second to see everything he has to say. So Keyshawn is trying to spill the beans along with Steve A. Smith so they can get ratings. That's what this is really about. Again, you got to know how to read somebody. You got to know how to... If you let somebody talk long enough, they're going to show you what time it is. Okay? Because again, man, like this is... What Keyshawn doing, I find it stabbing somebody in the back. You stabbing John in the back. John has never had anything negative to say about Keyshawn Johnson at all. Okay? And neither has and neither has the Raider players that he's coached. Because notice, you don't see Derek Carr calling him a fraud. Even Nassib, right? Now, Nassib is actually gay, but Nassib ain't even have a problem with John. Why? Because John reflected his comments towards Roger Goodell, not Nassib. And Nassib was a linebacker that's openly gay. He came out the closet during week 1 when they played the Ravens. But he don't got nothing against John. But check this out, though. The real reason why Gruden resigned is because the Las Vegas Raiders don't want him around no more. The management, the GM, they feel it's more so than just Roger Goodell. It's not because of what he said about Roger Goodell. It's because he's not that effective as a coach. Okay, that's what these three... Stephen A. Smith and Keyshawn is not going to tell you. That's the actual reason. The stuff they said about him, because that's in the past. That's water on the bridge. The stuff he said 7 years ago, that should not affect what's going on now. No, the actual reason why John Gruden is resigning, go look at the game against the Bears just on Sunday. Matter of fact, just yesterday, when Justin Fields, what was it, 29-9? The Raiders basically got blown out by the Bears. They could not stop Justin Fields at all. Okay? John Gruden's coaching style doesn't work anymore. Okay, he was coaching the Raiders back in 2001. Again, when Jerry Rice and all those other guys was over there, this is not the same league anymore. Times has changed. The style of football has changed. It's all about speed now. There's no more power backs, no more power running like that no more. It's all about the air game. It's all about passing. These quarterbacks can run just as good as they can throw. You got to have a response for these offenses. All around. The Raiders got no defense. They're ineffective. This is a Raider team that just this season almost lost to the Ravens, who got 13 guys on injured reserve. They ain't coming back until next year. And yet that team was able to take the Raiders to overtime. The Raiders got a fully healthy team. But Lamar almost pulled it off with 13 guys injured. That should tell you about John Gruden's coaching. So now that's the real reason. Mark Davis has done told this guy, we're not going to be keeping you around no more. You're doing a bad job. Okay, our offense is not putting up enough points on the board. Look how the Chargers beat them. Again, this Raiders team normally beats the Chargers. Okay, even against the Chargers, they was ineffective against They was ineffective against Eckler. They couldn't stop the run. I mean, Justin Herbert, we understand Justin Herbert's hot, but again, they lost. Okay? They've been getting owned by the Broncos and the Chiefs the last 5 years. Yeah, the last like 5, 6, 7 years. John Gruden has done absolutely nothing. Then you look at Matt LaFleur, you look at Kyle Shanahan. It only took those two 1 season to rebuild their team, and those teams went to the Super Bowl. Okay, look what Andy Reid did for the Chiefs. There's no excuses why the Raiders can't be a playoff team. Jack Del Rio was not nearly on the level that John Gruden is as a coach as far as the success. But John Gruden did at least get one playoff appearance with the Raiders. Even though the Raiders got crushed and Derek Carr was injured, the Raiders still made the playoffs under Jack Del Rio, who was the coach before him. So again, man, that's why he's being fired. Because that offense, especially with Jacobs, they got a legit running back. You got Jacobs and you got Keon Drake. They should not be losing like they are. That team is full of first-round draft picks across the board. If you look at teams like the Bills and the Browns, both the Bills and the Browns did way better than John Gruden did in just last season than John Gruden was in the last 3 seasons. This is John Gruden's 4th season. Again, he's produced nothing. Him trading Khalil Mack was a stupid decision. I don't know why the GM allowed John Gruden to trade Khalil Mack for all those draft picks. When they traded Khalil Mack, you broke up the core. You messed everything up defensively. Yeah, you wonder why the Bears got so much of an advantage over him because, again, Khalil Mack knows how to stop John Gruden. He knows how to stop that team. No, I understand that the Bears are a playoff team, they're a contender, and they have been for like over 2 seasons. But come on now. No fight at all. So that team is getting tired of him. The coaching staff, the GM, the owner, like Mark Davis, he's just getting tired of Gruden. They figure, okay, man, you got all this onus now. We don't need this much drama. Yeah, him talking about Roger Goodell in these emails, that was bad. But at the same time, too, look how bad the team is playing and performing. Okay, yeah, I get it. You beat the former MVP Lamar Jackson. You beat the Ravens, but that team had 13 of their starters on IR. Okay, you beat that team, but you couldn't beat the Bears? No excuse. You didn't beat the Chargers? There's no excuses for that. Okay? So that's why John Gruden is getting fired. And I even said this on Sunday, matter of fact, when I was leaving church. So I was talking to a couple people who are Raider fans at my church, and I told them John Gruden might be fired. They're going to get rid of that guy. And sure enough, last night, I got the message, I heard the news, he's gone. Yeah, so him, him resigning ain't got really nothing to do with Roger Goodell. I mean, it's bad because it's a bad look. Because Roger Goodell is part of the LGBTQ. He supports them. You got players. We've had players like Michael Sam and now you got Nassib who are gay, who came out the clouds as openly gay. They're in the league now. Well, Sam ain't, but yeah, Sam was the first player to come out as openly gay. But now you got Nassib. I think Ryan Nassib is his name, the linebacker. He's gay. But again, man, for Keyshawn Johnson to say this dude was a fraud from the beginning, no, that's just him capping for views. He's just making that things up for views. Because he want people to he's trying to get attention so people can watch the show. That's all it is. That's just something to try to save First Takes ratings. But my thing is, it's kind of low in a sense because, again, John Gruden is a coach that got you a championship ring. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers got their first ever victory. They was able to get a Vince Lombardi trophy because of him. His coaching style was at the time was better than Tony Dungy. The offense played a lot more effective under Gruden. And yes, he knew everything about the Raiders, right? That's part of it. The Raiders had a disadvantage because Gruden knew everything about them and knew the whole personnel. But despite that, against the Eagles, who they struggled with, against the New York Giants, the Washington Redskins, but they were the Redskins at the time. The Redskins, yes, was a very strong team in those days, right? Teams like the Atlanta Falcons, okay? These were tough. These teams were not easy teams to beat at all. The Carolina Panthers was also a difficult team with Steve Smith Jr. You had John Fox coach them, but you also had Musha Muhammad, right? And then you had Jake Delhomme. That was not an easy team to defeat. That before John Gruden came, the Buccaneers were struggling, getting bounced out the first round. Keyshawn Johnson was getting tired of losing, and then Gruden comes on there and he boosts up the offense and made him effective. So for Keyshawn Johnson to be the only player, and you don't even have Charles Wilson speaking out against John, that should tell you right then and there it's fake. This is all for views. That's why you see Stephen A. Smith breaking up all these names, because it's all for attention. It's all for views. That's what it is. And Keyshawn, again, he's just capping for views. That's all it is. He's trying to get people to watch the show. They're desperate for attention. Okay? So now you see. This man here, man, like, come on now. This is John holding your son doing a championship victory. Come on now, dude. Like, now y'all see, man, people are fake. People will do anything for attention. They do anything for views. First Take is suffering right now. Now, I'll be honest, man. Max Kellerman didn't do a bad of a job. Yeah, even though I was kind of skeptical of Max Kellerman in the past, I'm not going to lie. I myself had my doubts about Max Kellerman because he could never replace. He had too much. Skip Bayless had too much big shoes to fill. He could never do as good job as Skip Bayless when Stephen A. Smith was with him. But again, Max Kellerman kept the show interesting, and I respect the fact that me being a Clipper fan, Max Kellerman did have nice things to say about Jerry West. Excuse me. He had nice things to say about Jerry West and about what Steve Ballmer was doing for the Clippers. He didn't get on there and start bashing the Clippers like Stephen A. Smith was doing and wants everybody else to do. How Stephen A. Smith took the Lakers and all this. No. He had good things to say. Max Kellerman was kind of fair in his takes to a certain degree. Yeah, I didn't get along with I didn't agree with him all the stuff he said during Colin Kaepernick was taking a knee in those segments, but all that other stuff, man, like Max Kellerman didn't do a bad job, especially with boxing. Boxing is Max Kellerman's main round. His boxing takes on there was perfect. They were on point. Max Kellerman did a decent job. But Stephen A. Smith is going down. He's burning. This man is crashing and burning on his show. And it won't be long before Stephen A. Smith is gone. So Keyshawn Johnson is trying to do what he can to save the show by saying all these, calling John Gruden a fraud. Saying all these things about him, which to me, man, he should leave it alone. You should at least have John Gruden's back. If I was Keyshawn Johnson, I would literally say that John made a mistake. I'm pretty sure he's sorry, and there's certain things you just can't do on the NFL. Right? But to go on there and call this man a fraud from the very beginning, when you played on a team this man was coaching all that time. Alright? And when you left the Buccaneers to go to other teams like the Cowboys and the Panthers, you had nothing negative to say about John Gruden all that time. John Gruden retired from the Buccaneers and then left and went to ESPN as an analyst. You had nothing negative to say about John Gruden that whole time when both of you all was on ESPN. Again, you heard him say on that recording, you heard him say on First Take, you just heard him say that I was on the phone with John Gruden for a whole hour. So okay, so you was on the phone with him a whole hour. Why didn't you hang up in 5 minutes into the phone call? Why didn't you hang up 10 minutes? Why was you on the phone with John Gruden a whole hour unless you got some type of respect for John? Unless John is not really a fake. You only did that because either Stephen A. Smith told you to do it for ratings, or Roger Dale or the LGBTQ gave you a command. And they told you to say that about John, right, so you could draw some more attention. So John Gruden could get hated by the entire NFL. Let's just keep it honest. Let's keep it honest. I'm going to keep it 1,000. I see right through Keyshawn Johnson. He's fake. Because I don't see no other Buccaneer, current or old, that say anything negative about John. None of them. All right? Like I said, Booger McFarland, who was also analyst, he had nothing negative to say about him. Derek Brooks, Warren Sapp, Brad Johnson, his quarterback at the time, his ex-quarterback, Michael Pittman, none of those guys had nothing negative to say about John Gruden. Not even Rondé Barber. And Rondé Barber is the other main analyst. Him and Tiki, man, they both are analysts. If I'm not mistaken, they both work for ESPN. Rondé has never came out and said nothing negative about John at all. Never once. And neither has Jerry Rice. And Jerry Rice works for the NFL Network. Had nothing. He never called John Gruden a fraud or a fake at all, despite him having to play against John Gruden in that Super Bowl. All right? And this is John Gruden who developed that Raider team. And leaves them because him and Al Davis had their disagreements or whatever it was said. And goes to the Buccaneers and takes over Tony Dungy's job. And they got to play against each other. Despite Jerry Rice being at a disadvantage. And that cost Jerry Rice his 6th Super Bowl ring. Jerry is not even calling this dude a fraud. You ain't heard Jerry Rice at all. But the fact that this man here, Mr. Keyshawn Johnson's talking about him again. Keyshawn is mostly on First Take. He's trying to stay Stephen A. Smith's show. He's doing it for the views. He's doing it for the ratings. But that's it, folks. That's the video, man. Y'all, again, I would like to hear your opinion on this matter. Do you think John Gruden was a fraud for the very beginning? I'm curious to know. Like, subscribe, comment if you feel like. And as always, I'll see you. They'll say stay.